All right, folks. So, I want to talk about a couple things here. I've been encouraged to make a YouTube vlog to give encouragement, to help people out, to give advice, and put things into perspective. And it's kind of, I'm not going to say it's kind of hard because I'm not perfect, nor do I intend to be perfect, but I've gone through a lot of experiences and I have a great outlook on life and understanding of life. And it's through my faith that I have this. And I know there's a lot of people out there that don't have the faith, that don't have their encouragement, their wisdom because of their faith. Which is fine. You know, I'm not here to push my religion and my faith upon anybody, but I'm here to give words of wisdom and encouragement to help those in need. Um, Self love was one of the topics brought up when I had asked, and my niece, she had encouraged me to make these vlogs, to give advice because I do got to say I like to help people. I like to voice my opinion, not meaning I'm forcing my opinion upon you, but I'm voicing my opinion. There's a difference between voicing and forcing. So let's just get those two words, out the way, and let's understand, the difference between forcing, which I'm here to force you to believe in my beliefs because I'm not here to do that, but I'm here to voice my opinion and my belief, and it's going to be up to you to take that and run with it, or do whatever it is that you need to do with it. But self love was the topic that she brought up, and what is self love? What does it mean to you to have that self love? Uh, if you look up the definition of self love, I'm just going to break it to you very simple. In another word, egotistic, conceitedness, the love for oneself. That's my statistics. When I said I was going to make these videos, I was going to throw out a statistic and throw out my opinion, and through my belief and through my faith. Self love, when it comes to statistics in the dictionary, it talks about being, cocky and being confident and being conceited and doing all this stuff. But there's a difference when you take pride in that. When you take pride in loving yourself, when you take pride in accepting yourself and knowing it is who you are, which is fine. But let's turn it to a perspective of your faith and believing in God on what it means to have self love. You have to accept yourself for who you are as a person. And there's a lot of situations and a lot of seasons that you may have gone through in your life where it kind of prevented you from having that self-love because the way you grew up, maybe not having a mom or maybe not having a dad, or even then not even having both of your parents there for you. So how can you have self-love if you're never taught self-love? And there's a lot of people out there that experience this self-love for themselves because they have to find it and they have to dig deep inside themselves to kind of understand what it is to mean to love themselves. And there's a lot of people out there that don't love themselves because they don't know how, and that's fine. um, there's situations that we go through in this life where it brings us down. It torments our mind, it torments our heart, where we can't get back up. And we just want to stay down. We just want to stay at rock bottom because we don't know any other way to get up. But through faith, I tell you, and believing that there is a God and believing that there is a higher power, rather if it's through my faith or a different faith that you may believe, but there is a higher power. But what is it that you're doing with that? What are you doing to self love yourself when you have these situations that continuously bring you down? Or maybe you might be in a season of your life where you have self love and you are in a place in life where you're okay. Nothing's wrong with you, nothing's, bringing you down. You're good where you're at. Um, Complacency can be a very dangerous thing, and it could It could damage your character because you think everything's all peachy and everything's all gravy. And I'm not wishing bad things upon people. I'm not here to wish that things would go the wrong way for you. If you're in in a season of your life right now where things are all peaches and cream, more power to you. That's great. Keep it going. But what do you do when something happens that is not peaches and cream anymore? What do you do when your life is at a point where it's like kind of a flat line, where you're not going like this, you're not going up and down, like you're okay. But what do you do when it starts to drop? Have you been through an experience where your life is going good and then all of a sudden it takes a turn for the worse? What do you do then? For me, when my life turns for the worse, I just look up. I look up, and ask God, all right, like if this is what you have planned for me, I know I'm going to go through a season of distress, and I'm going to go through a season of disappointment, of anger, of depression, but I know I'm not going to stay there forever. So what's next? And that's what you got to ask yourself. What is next? Like if this is happening to me, what is next for me? Rather if it's a season of losing your job, a season of being divorced, a season of losing a loved one, a season of finding out somebody has a terminal illness, whatever the case may be. What do you do when, excuse the traffic, I said when I'm going to make these videos, I'm going to make them raw and I'm going to give them to you just like that. So I'm currently outside of my garage shooting this video. So you might hear cars here and there, which ignore that. That's not the whole purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to get you back up on your feet and how to maintain that style of life. But back to the self-love. What do you do when everything's good and then it falls apart? Or what do you do when everything's already fallen apart, and how do you get back up? But that's where self-love has to come in. You have to accept yourself for who you are as a person, despite whatever it is that you've gone through growing up, through your childhood, or through any physical pain that you've gone through. But I'm here to tell you, you can't live in the past, man. It's always good to reach back. It's always good to go and look at the past to see how you got to where you are today, because you got through it. When you're in that season of your life where you feel like everything's falling apart, you feel in that moment that you can't get through that you can't go anywhere else but here. But you did. You got through that. God got you through that pain and through that suffering. He got you through that wilderness. And it's not always going to be okay. It's not always going to be perfect, because this is life. Things happen. We get tested every day. But it's up to you of how you make of it. It's what you make of it. So being down in the dumps and being down, at the very bottom, what do you do to get back up? Because like I said, when you're in that season, when you're in that moment, you feel like you can't go any further, but you got out of that season and now you're in a different season. So you got to realize and you got to understand, since I've gone through this and I went past that, but now I'm in here. But at that time, this situation felt like it was the worst. But then now you're in this new situation where you feel like it's the worst. And it's going to be like that every single time, situation after situation after situation. And I'm not saying things are always going to be bad, but these seasons that you go through make you better and prepare you for the next season of your life, your next season of trial, your next season of success. Because once you reach that point of success, and once you reach that point of, after going through all that, and you're at a stage where you're like, finally, I finally made it, you got to look back and see what you've gone through, or what it is that you went through to make you humble for what it is that you have now, the successes that you have now, the riches that you have now. We all go through this crushing point, and I use this as an advice for somebody one day. Um, I was wearing a purple shirt. True story. I was wearing a purple shirt, and I was called that I look like a grape. And my response is, I may look like a grape, but this grape will turn into a fine piece of wine. And that's true, because in order to make a nice, smooth glass of wine that's very tasty, that goes down smoothly, it, these grapes, they go through a season of crushing. They go through a season of fermenting. They go through a season of break, of heartache, of depression, of anxiety. These grapes go through all that, but once it's done and once it's the finished product, it's a nice bottle of wine. So no matter what situation that you are going through right now, no matter if it's financial, relational, spiritual, mental, physical, whatever the case may be, you're being crushed right now, but it's not the end. It's not where your story ends. You have a story to tell, you have a story to live, you have to lead by example. And though you're going through this season of tormenting, of depression, of sadness, loneliness, once the process is done, you don't get it. It's a fine glass bottle of wine, an expensive one too, because the crushing that you've gone through is, you got to trust the process, man. You got to trust the process, and it's going to hurt, and it's going to hurt like hell. But you know what? Once it's all said and done, you got to that point where you've always wanted to be. And once you're in that point of like, yes, finally, I did it. It's all about doing or looking after what the next step is, of going after something better than what you have now. But never forget where you came from. Never forget your past. Never forget what it is that you've gone through to get to where you're at, because one day someone's going to look at you and be like, wow, you made it. When I thought you couldn't make it, when I thought I couldn't make it, I look at your story, and if you can do it, I can do it. And you want to be an encouragement to other people. So when you go through these situations of destruction, is not bringing your self-love down, is creating a self-love within yourself. So when you get to that point, you could tell your story, you could give your testimony, you could trust in God and have that faith like everything is going to be okay, because everything is going to be okay in your life. um that's it, man. That's all you got to do. So when it comes to self-love, rather, if you were inherited through your upbringing of having self-love, cool, awesome. But what it is, what do you do when your self-love is destructed by current events or events that you may be going through in your life? What do you do then? Or you may be in a season where you've never been taught this self-love, that you have to go through it yourself. We're all prime examples to help other people out there. We're not in this for ourselves. We're not here, like I said at the beginning, to have this egotistic attitude and this confidence of I'm better than you. It's more of a confidence that your faith will get you through whatever it is that you go through, to help you, but at the same time, you're helping other people around you. Um, so that's basically all I got for tonight. But like I said, I'm going to be doing these videos and trying to encourage people. Tonight, I'm outside my garage. Cool. Tomorrow, I might be in my car. I might be at the park. Who knows? But I'm just going to give this to you real. I'm going to give it to you straight up. All right. One love.